Here's the United performance under Ruben Amorim. 11 wins, one of which came in a shootout. 26 games in charge. Those 10 defeats knocked out the FA Cup in the 5th round, the League Cup quarter-finals. But there is the hope of the Europa League round of 16 with the second leg to come against Real Sociedad on Thursday. Is that what a good job looks like?
No, I think people would have envisaged that it would have been a lot better. And what we've got to remember is, I think when clubs change managers at either end of the table, it might be a case near the bottom. They think, OK, maybe we'll change something because we want to try and stay in the Premier League. Manchester United were a million miles away from the top 4 positions. Obviously so, because there wasn't that many games played. I think they were only 5 or 6 points off the Champions League positions. One of the reasons why you change Erik ten Hag is because you think, I don't think we're going to get there with this manager. Let's roll the dice. We're not just doing it for this season. Obviously, we're thinking of this guy for the next 2 or 3 years. But there was a fear in that. Can a new manager instill a little bit more than what this manager's and maybe push us into the Champions League position? So to find themselves where they are now in the table, that was never the plan. It's never really acceptable. And we've highlighted the system on this show. We've highlighted them in the game at Liverpool, how well it worked as well. And I can't stand here and say I want it to go well. That'd just be ridiculous. But he's a young manager. He looks the part, he sounds the part. You're thinking, OK, what have you got? And I must say I've been disappointed with it. I must say that in terms of, doesn't mean like there's been a real improvement in the team. We know that for the results, but also individual players. There's nothing to really hang your hat on. There was early on with Ahmad. You think, OK, is he a wing back? Is he a number 10? He's doing well. He's had an influence here. But now, since he's been injured, I can't really see an awful lot. And the problem for Amorim going forward with that is that you want the buy-in for next season. We know this season's a little bit probably, not written off, they've got the Europa League, but you want that buzz going into next season with your players, with your supporters, with your staff. I think if you continually lose, it's hard to generate that enthusiasm going into next season.
What have you made it as a manager yourself, Russell? Going into a club like Manchester United, where you know you have to win because of the scrutiny, every defeat is a crisis at a club like this. But he has been so determined to wed his players to this ideal of this system right from the off.
I think if results aren't coming, so it's a big job anyway, so everyone knew that, Erik ten Hag changed, and I think they made the change because the game looked different a lot for Manchester United, and Manchester United fans and owner, I'm sure, will expect the team to be dominant. So as dominant as they can, whether it's attacking, creating chances. So I presume they brought Ruben in for that reason, so the team looks like it evolves in a certain way with a style and is dominant. But yesterday against Arsenal, they have less than 40% possession at home, I think. So if the results aren't coming, I think you need to see the style being implemented.
He did
and
say
evolving.
yesterday, this is not the way that we want to play long term. We just have to adapt to try and get results in the short term.
Which you understand, but if you've been brought in to instill something that you've been really good at your previous club, that it would then be a bit of a worry that you're going back to, this is not how we're going to play, but we need to do this now. So it's like, it's that balance of long term and short term. I'm convinced after watching his Lisbon team, I really enjoyed them, that he will get it going. But it's probably taken him longer than he would have expected or would have liked. It's probably taken the owner and everyone else involved longer than they would have liked. So everyone has to be a bit patient, which, as we know, is not prevalent in football.
But Russell, he's been criticised for not changing the system and almost being too sort of dogmatic with that. You've been questioned this season about sort of your style of playing, not changing that. I mean, how do you see it in terms of that?
Like, the formation is fine if the concept is the same. So if you're playing the formation but the game looks different one week to the next. So I don't really believe it's about formation. I think Graham would have said that to you earlier.
But he said he's not changing his formation.
Which is fine, as long as the game looks similar every week and there's a bit of improvement in something, or the concept of the game is we're going to dominate the ball, or we're going to, Nottingham Forest, we're going to mid-block or low-block, and then we're going to counter. So it doesn't change. The formation can change. If he's not going to change, then the concept should look similar, and I think that's at the minute where they're struggling, where the game still looks different. So the formation doesn't change, but the game still doesn't quite look the same week on week, if that makes sense.